I'm joined now by Keith Swanson, Director of Pre-Sales for Asia Pacific and Japan, part of the Global Fraud and Security Intelligence Division for SAS Institute. Keith, welcome. Thanks for agreeing to answer a few questions we have for you today. And let me start by congratulating you and your team at SAS for the award today.
Well, thanks, Steve, and thanks for taking the time to speak to me. And I want to thank Asia Risk for the award. And I also want to recognize Asia Risk on their 25th anniversary. Glad that we have the opportunity to be part of that today.
Oh, we certainly are too. Going to get right to the questions now, Keith. What does SAS bring to the table as a provider of AML services and solutions? And what is the innovation that makes you a pioneer this year?
I think when we look at the innovation that makes us a pioneer, I think it's good to reflect on the past from which we come. SAS, as an organization, has been doing analytics and data management and reporting for over 44 years. And in that, we've also been focusing on with AML solutions since 2002. Now, why I bring that up is that experience working with over 300 customers across 6 continents gets us a viewpoint of what it is that customers are really needing in the capability they bring to bear to address these regulatory challenges. And in that, it is the customer feedback that's typically driving our innovation. And specifically, in the last year, and based on the background of experience and investments we've made in the near past, we have furthered our availability of a unified solution and unified data model that allows you to address a multitude of financial crimes obligations, whether that's transaction monitoring, customer due diligence, customer risk rating, real-time screening, or regulatory reporting. That innovation is also being driven forward by that history and that recognized leadership in AI is now we are further advancing our leverage of AI, machine learning, and analytics in getting better results, better detection, and better outcomes out of the solutions that we present to the market.
Great stuff. What are the biggest challenges your clients have to overcome, Keith?
I think if we look at the challenges our customers have, if we look at even the 25-year history of Asia Risk, think about where the financial markets and the global economy has been in those 25 years. What that means for many organizations in region and across the globe is increased globalization. The nature that your customer could be next door, your customer could be on another continent. And what does that mean from the systems and the data that you have to analyze and the information that you have presented to yourself? So beyond that globalization also comes with the impacts of digital transformation. So specifically, when you look at digital transformation, the nature of the immediacy of transactions and payments and settlements that might happen, the nature that you might not actually see your customer and they're onboarded through a digital market and through online banking and beyond, how are the systems and the organizations responding to such a global presence and such a digital transformation and digital approach? And within that, when they look at their global obligations, they have to assess each of the jurisdictions they do business in and understand how does that jurisdiction impact my risk assessment and the way I do business. And so that, I'll bring that all together for an organization can be quite time consuming and complex. And so oftentimes our focus is making sure we provide them a holistic capability in which the technology doesn't serve as a limitation, but the technology and the solutions we provide serves as an enabler to that.
Okay, let's look now at the current regulatory environment, and maybe you can walk us through what the main themes shaping AML compliance are.
I think you're seeing some of the same themes being driven by that digital transformation and globalization. You have regulators across the globe further demonstrating their influence in actioning your behaviors. So whether that is a carrot stick or a stick approach from that perspective, the reality is they're having increased audits, there's increased activity within the market, there's increased media presence. But as you look at that globalization and you look at the nature of, for example, trade, much more focus these days around how organizations are focused on addressing their sanctions obligations and their trade-based obligations. And a lot of that is just manifested of examples of how globalization has changed the way that organizations do business. So how those organizations map all those jurisdictions, all those obligations, all the different approaches from different regulators and do that in a way that is helps support the way that the organization is doing business and does not constrict the way the customer does business.
Great. How does SAS develop its solutions to go beyond regulatory requirements?
I think going back a bit to some themes earlier, a lot of our advancement and our innovation is driven by our engagement with customers. So understanding what it is they need from a capability, how they are assessing the risk and the obligations they have from the regulators and the jurisdictions they do business, but how does that transform itself into business operations and the way that you fulfill those obligations? So whether that might be the level of detection, the flexibility of adding new capabilities and new typologies, to how do I streamline the investigations and reporting processes as I meet those obligations to regulators.
Okay, going to bring it home now, Keith. One last question. What else is on the horizon for SAS's anti-money laundering solutions? And maybe you could touch on new product updates or launches in framing your response.
And I think if you look at where we're going into the future as part of that continued theme of innovation, we are looking to our customers and we're looking to the market what are key areas of focus. So one of that specifically is application of artificial intelligence and machine learning. So how do we embed that further into the process and drive the outcomes and what people see even on the screens as to what they investigate? A second element is around increased focus around trade. And how do I look at my trade-based money laundering and my trade finance obligations? And we are working with one of the largest trade shops in the world in deploying capabilities to help automate that process, drive efficiencies, while maintaining the utmost level of monitoring requirements. And I think the third piece comes back to, again, is to how do I visualize information? It's great to have very smart systems, but how do I present that back to the people that will be working and interacting with that? The viewpoint is to how do I combine artificial intelligence with human intelligence? And oftentimes you drive better outcomes and better decisions by the way you present information to your teams. And that's been a core focus for us as well, as to how do we present that information to make the best decisions with what's available for data.
Keith Swanson, thanks so much for your time today and taking the time to answer some questions. You've done a great job there. I appreciate that. Also, congratulations to you and your team at SAS for winning the award today.
Okay, and thank you very much for your time today, Steve, and thanks again to Asia Risk for the recognition. We greatly appreciate it.
All the best.
All the best as well. Thank you.